Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. For everybody
Good.
joining in, I'm here with Beth Lang. She's a Targeted Ministries Coordinator at Colorado Community Church in Aurora. And she's going to talk to us today about starting a mental health ministry in your church. So, Beth, if you just start by telling me a little bit about what prompted Colorado Community Church to start a mental health ministry.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it was really primarily the leading of the Holy Spirit. Um, I have friends who have struggled and do struggle. And I think at that time, certainly this was about 6 or 7 years ago, we were really starting to see in the media, um, in our culture, people with mental health issues really needing support. And so uh, we started asking around in the church and finding that within our own church community, the people who felt comfortable expressing how they were feeling isolated and unseen and unsupported. And so were their family members. And so what we heard from them is they really wanted a safe place to be able to process their mental health journey with other people and really discover the God piece. That's what was missing for them, understanding that. And so that's really, I think, what prompted us to start.
That's awesome. And what have you noticed since then, since starting a mental health ministry? Like, has the culture kind of changed, or how has that kind of supported CCC?
Yeah, I would say it's changed in two ways. Certainly, the people who are being served through our Overcome classes and our cave groups, that has certainly changed. I mean, they feel much more comfortable speaking out about their mental health challenges. They feel loved. They feel welcomed, embraced, really, much more than they did. And we've seen them, because of that, actually branch out more into being served by other ministries, because I think they were maybe attending church services and doing nothing else. Because if they got in any kind of a share group or any intimate Bible study and they didn't feel comfortable sharing about their mental health issues, which was their biggest concern, right, at the time, then they didn't feel like they belonged. And now we're seeing them branch out, which is really wonderful, right? But I think the general church community, I think they really had not, a lot of people in their culture too, but certainly in the global church, had not thought about really a biblical perspective on mental health, and also had not thought about the fact that mental health, that we all have it, right? Like Kimberly and my Quiet Cave, you guys talk about that all the time. We all have mental health, just like we have physical health or spiritual health or emotional health, and it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be managed. Now, there are people who have mental disorders, right? Who have a chemical imbalance, and certainly we can look at our fallen world as a reason for that. But I think a lot of people didn't really think about their own mental health. And I have to say, especially in the past year, certainly, or I would say past 4 years, even more, because of just the political polarization in our country. And now with COVID, there's a lot of people thinking about their mental health. And so it's been really great that the general community is embracing the concept that I have mental health I need to take care of. Other people have maybe a mental illness that's different, but it's something we all as believers, need to address in some way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. We all have struggles. We all have issues with our
Right,
thinking or emotions at some point. We might not
right,
have mental illness, which is an illness. Um,
right,
but I think you're right
right.
that COVID has really brought up a lot more of isolation and issues that a lot of people are having. I know you can search online at a lot of different studies that have been going on just since COVID about just the crazy spike increase in depression and anxiety among
Mhm.
everybody that may not have struggled before. So,
Exactly. And that's what we're definitely seeing. We're seeing an increase in people reaching out to us, especially with anxiety. And what I call it is cultural anxiety, because people, they might not have a formal diagnosis, but they need some behavior modifications to help them manage, and they need that in the context of Christ, really. So, where is God in this? I've never struggled with anxiety before. I'm totally wigging out about COVID. Where is God in this? And there's so much that the word says, about peace. So
well, that's awesome that you're being really a beacon of hope in your community and that
yeah.
people feel safe to reach out to you. at Colorado
Right.
Community Church. That's so awesome. Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, you're welcome.